Hello! Today is very exciting because this video is the first video in a new series that I'm going to start on my channel where I read outside my comfort zone. Today, the theme of this video is reading really hyped up books that everybody loves. I'm a little bit nervous because when something is really popular, really hyped up, I am always curious, but also very skeptical. I like to be different. I don't want to be like everybody else. We'll see if I like these books. Number 1 is Song of Achilles. Number 2 is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. And number 3 is Fourth Wing. So we've got a couple of different genres. Let's find out if I like any of them. Let's go.
So I've read the first 7 chapters of Song of Achilles now, and I wanted to give you a little update. Number 1, I'm listening to the audiobook because I can't read the book. I've tried and my eyes glaze over and I lose focus, and so we're listening to the audiobook. We have Patroclus, our main character. His dad is very mean, and because his dad is mean and bullies him, basically everybody in their kingdom ends up bullying him. And one day this kid is bullying him and he gets fed up, shoves the kid falls down, hits his head and dies. So Patroclus gets exiled to this other kingdom where he lives with Achilles and his father, the king, and then becomes Achilles' companion. He's now like a teenager. He's starting to feel feelings for Achilles. This book is all about how Patroclus and Achilles are lovers. They are gay and they are lovers. This isn't new information to me, but I'm interested to see this like love story like unfold. See them fall more in love, hopefully. Looking forward to that. I'm hoping it's like a wonderful, beautiful romance. Madeline Miller can do a really good job of like describing things, like the way things look and the way people look and like stuff like that, and I like that. You don't get that when you're reading the Iliad, so I enjoy that. Patroclus is kind of a bummer of a character, like just always is like woe is me, complaining. Also, it seems like things are just like happening to Patroclus and he's not actually doing anything himself. He's not a very active main character, so I'm hoping that that also changes as the book goes on. Okay, I just wanted to give a quick update on Song of Achilles. I'm on chapter 23 now, which is about 2/3 of the way through the book. Patroclus and Achilles have left to fight the Trojan War, and they are officially lovers. And you know how I was saying I didn't feel very much like a romance, but I was hoping that it would start to feel more like that? It still doesn't really feel like that. First of all, I don't understand what Patroclus likes about Achilles other than he's pretty. I don't really like that. And then also, I have no idea what's going on in Achilles' head. Like, what does he like about Patroclus? I just don't really buy that they're in love. But that's my take right now.
Here are my final thoughts on Song of Achilles. I didn't like it. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't really like the characters. Patroclus seemed kind of whiny and had all these problems but never did anything to solve the problems other than just expect his problems to be solved by the fact that he was following Achilles around 24/7. I'm like, come on, man. Come on, man. Like, Achilles isn't gonna solve all your problems. Speaking of Achilles, I get that he's beautiful. I get that he's pretty and he's got these like beautiful luscious golden locks or whatever. But what does Patroclus actually see in him other than that? What does he actually see in him other than that? Like, you take that away, you take away his looks, you take away his like inhuman strength, you take those two things away. And what does Patroclus actually love about Achilles? Because I feel like every time Patroclus was like thinking about, oh man, I love him so much, his looks came up, or oh man, he's so strong. So really it's just a physical thing. I can't relate to that. I need more than just looks. I need some personality, and Achilles didn't have that. And because I didn't really care about either of our main characters, when like these big dramatic moments would happen, like when Achilles is kidnapped by his mother, when they go off to war, when they're doing these things, I didn't really care. There should be some suspense. I should be on the edge of my seat being like, oh man, are they gonna be okay? What's gonna happen? I wasn't. I wanted it to be a really beautiful love story where I could just like see, and I knew for a fact, without a doubt, that these two characters loved each other. I didn't get that either. I feel like it was one-sided. Patroclus was constantly doing all these things to show how much he loved Achilles, right? Even if it's just for his looks. But did Achilles ever do anything for Patroclus? No, he didn't. And so it was very one-sided. Song of Achilles was not for me. It was not my thing. I didn't really enjoy it. I can, however, I can appreciate and I will acknowledge that Madeline Miller has some beautiful writing. There were some passages, there were some things where she was describing like Achilles and mostly just when she was describing Achilles. She did make him sound very handsome, and the way she was describing things was like very beautiful and like poetic, and I did enjoy that. So I think she's a talented writer. She's just not for me. If you like Greek mythology, check her out. She is beloved by many, so check these books out if you think you'd be into them. Just because I didn't like them doesn't mean you won't like them. So that's everything I have to say about Song of Achilles.
Okay, I thought I'd just pop in here, give my thoughts on tomorrow, where I'm at so far. I've read the first like 3 chapters. This book is literary fiction. It is very character driven. And like with very character driven books, I feel like sometimes I struggle. Sometimes, like half the time, I think it's a really boring book, and then the other half of the time I feel like it's like, whoa, that was so good. So far, I'm really liking how they've introduced the 2 characters, or 2 like main characters that we're gonna be focusing on. Their names are Sam and Sadie. They are friends. They became friends when they were children, and they bonded over video games. And now they are adults. They are at some point going to work together to develop their own video game. They meet when they're kids, right? And then they know each other through adulthood, and that's when they start working together. So I was worried that like it would feel very long, like a very long book, just because it covers such a big chunk of time, you know? But the way that like the characters are introduced, I don't think it's gonna feel too long. Like so far, I'm really enjoying it. Hello. I am about halfway through tomorrow, and I'm gonna share with you my thoughts so far. And so I was a little bit nervous getting into this one just because it is so popular. I was like, what if I don't like it? What if I'm the one person that doesn't like it? Luckily, I am liking it. First chapter, we see them, they're in college. We're seeing things from Sam's perspective, and he runs into Sadie for the first time in years. They reconnect in the train station, and it's very much like a meet cute from a romance. Now, this isn't a romance. These 2 friends, they're just friends. It's purely platonic, and then they become business partners later on, right? It's not a romance, but like in that reunion scene in the first chapter, I don't know, it was just written in such a way that I was like, okay, it feels like there's a story, it feels like there's a plot, it feels like there's stuff happening. It's not just stuff going on in their heads. It's not like we're just getting, okay, can we stop for just a second? And so I liked that, and I was like, this is good. The writing is phenomenal. I love it. Kind of bounced back and forth a little bit in the beginning, and I liked that. I feel like that kept the momentum, kept me interested in the beginning. There have been a couple of things where I've been like, For one thing, there were 2 or 3 chapters where it was like focused on Sam's mom, which seemed kind of random to me. I was like, because like every other chapter has been either like focused on Sam or Sadie and kind of like their feelings and their perspective. And so to have these random chapters where it's like Sam's mom's feelings and her perspective, I was like, wait, what? When I was reading those chapters, I kind of zoned out. So now they're business partners, they're out of college, they're making video games, and so when they first graduated and started this company, Sadie got it in her head that like Sam was like trying to sabotage her and all this stuff, and like that seemed kind of to come out of nowhere. For a while there, I was kind of not getting Sadie at all, like not understanding her at all, and so it was just kind of frustrating. Yeah, whenever it came to like the Sadie chapters, I don't understand why this is a thing. That was like a little bit hard for me, but like now we're good. Sam and Sadie have made up. Sadie realizes that she was being dramatic and that Sam was never sabotaging her. I'm really liking the book. I'm gonna keep reading this book now, and I'll let you know my final thoughts when I'm done.
I finished Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow today. Does it deserve the hype? Is it amazing and beautiful? Yes, I think so. If I were to rate this book, I would rate it somewhere between 4 and 5 stars. I don't usually rate books on like a star scale because like I stress myself out too much trying to find the perfect numerical rating for how I feel about it, and I just can't put a number to my feelings. For this book, it's somewhere in the 4 to 5 star range. If you like the numerical ratings, there you go. I felt a lot reading this book. I did. Like I felt for the characters. I could feel it as I was reading. I could feel the feelings. I could just like feel the atmosphere. I could just like feel it, and I liked that. Another thought, this story is about 2 friends, a lifelong friendship. Their love for each other is purely platonic, and I liked that. I love how it like describes love in here. I'm gonna try and find quotes. Why was it so hard for Sam to say he loved Sadie, even when she said it to him? He knew he loved her, and people who felt far less for each other said love all the time. and it didn't mean a thing. And maybe that was the point. He more than loved Sadie Green. There needed to be a word for that. Tell me that isn't beautiful, okay? Like, tell me that isn't beautiful. And then here's some character development for you. For most of his life, Sam had found it difficult to say I love you. He believed it was far superior to show love to the ones you loved. But now, it seemed like one of the easiest things in the world Sam could do. Why wouldn't you tell someone you loved them? Once you loved someone, you repeated it until they were tired of hearing it. You said it until it ceased to have meaning. Why not? Of course you goddamn did. I like how it talks about love. And you can have friends that you love just as much as you love your romantic partner, but like not for that reason, you know? Love is very versatile. Those quotes, I think, show how like Sam kind of changes over the course of the book. I feel like I kind of related to Sam in some ways, because like we're gonna talk love languages here for a second, but I'm like I just want to be near you. If I'm near you, then that means I like you, that means I love you. You can't always be close to people that you love. Like, people move away, people get jobs in other parts of the country and other countries, like people are going to school different places, and like just like life happens. I still love those people, but like I feel like sometimes it's just really hard for me to like show it if I can't just be there. And so yeah, I'm hoping for my own character development where I like learn to find ways to show my love for like my friends and my family despite whatever distance may be between us. And then the last thing I want to talk about is I love a full circle ending. Here's what I mean by that. I love when an ending calls back to a previous scene from the beginning of the book that is very similar, because I don't know, it's just so satisfying to see these characters in a very similar place, and you know they're the same people, but at the same time they are so different. My brain just loves that. Tomorrow was very good and I liked it, and you should totally read it because it is worth the hype. I'm here to talk to you today about Fourth Wing because I started reading Fourth Wing, arguably the like most popular, most hyped up book last year. I started reading it yesterday. I got through chapter 1. Thought I'd share with you just what was going on in my head as I was reading chapter 1. To preface this, when something gets a lot of hype, there's that part of me that wants to prove everybody wrong, which like, do I like being that way? I don't know, but that's how I am. So some of these thoughts are kind of snarky. Let's get into it. The hook of this book is very good. I like it. Conscription Day is always the deadliest. Maybe that's why the sunrise is especially beautiful this morning, because I know it might be my last. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good hook. My next thought is Sorengale. It's just such a fantasy novel name to me. Third, this is when Violet is talking with her mom and her sister, and her sister's like, Violet can't handle this, you have to get her out of this. And her mom's like, no. And her mom says, Violet deals with more pain before lunch than you do in a week. If any of my kids is capable of surviving this, it's her. Violet has some sort of disability or some sort of chronic illness, chronic pain, something that like makes her, she struggles with different things than everybody else who is going into this like dragon training. And so like this is kind of that like your disability is your strength kind of thing. I think that it is cool. This main character can represent people who feel that way, who do deal with more pain before lunch than the rest of us feel in a week. Representation is an important thing. The scene between Violet and her sister is giving me Hunger Game vibes. It reminds me at the beginning of Hunger Games when Katniss is reassuring Prim that she's gonna be fine. On page 11, Dane equals romantic interest, question mark. Already? Question mark. Page 11. Page 14. Xaden. Romantic interest number 2, right? And then as I kept reading, Violet meets a couple of people while she's waiting in line to do this challenge thing to get into the dragon school, right? Inspired me to write, I hope Violet gets some friends. Because I feel like in these like YA fantasy or like sci-fi novels, like the main character never has friends. They just have love interests. And so I'm hoping that this is different than those and that Violet does actually have friends in addition to these love triangle love interests. Page 18, Violet already has met Xaden, which I figured was coming soon since Mira says, whatever you do, stay away from Xaden. I just didn't expect him to come up that soon. You know, I thought that we'd at least have to wait until chapter 2, but no. Okay, yep, he's definitely love interest. Those are all of my thoughts so far on Fourth Wing. I'm not going to be keeping as many notes moving forward. Like I said, I was just trying to be snarky, trying to be different, and like, I'm not gonna like this book. Moving forward, I've already read chapter 2, haven't taken any notes because I'm just trying to enjoy it at this point. I think this could be a really good book for me to read right now because my own life, my real life, is messy right now. There's work drama that is causing me a lot of stress during all hours of the day, not just during work. And so I need to escape into a fantasy world with dragons, with love triangles. That's where I'm at with Fourth Wing.
Here's my halfway update for Fourth Wing. And I'm going to start with the stuff that makes it sound like I don't like it, so then I can tell you why I actually do like it. Number one, it's very predictable, which I feel like with YA fantasies, that's just something that can happen. There are like so many like popular tropes, and because they are popular, everybody does that. So number one, there's a love triangle. She could either end up with her best friend, Dane, or the bad boy who wants to kill her, Xaden. There was a moment when I was reading last night when she kissed Dane for the first time, and immediately she was just turned off. She was like, ew, this isn't what I expected. Now we know she's gonna end up with the bad boy who wants to kill her, which I kind of had a feeling that's what was gonna end up happening, but now it's been confirmed. Trope number 2, I feel like, is just because she's the main character, she has to be like the chosen one, and something crazy has to happen to her because like people don't expect it to happen to her. In this situation, spoilers, book, in this situation, like I said, this is about this academy where people are training to learn to ride dragons, and as part of that like training, they learn like all the different kinds of dragons that are willing to bond with humans this year. And so they're in this class and someone asks, well, what's the strongest kind of dragon? And the professor says, actually, the strongest is also the rarest. There's only one of them, and it is this black dragon. But he doesn't want to bond with any humans this year, so you don't need to worry about him. And I was like, oh, the rarest and strongest. And there's no way he's gonna be here this year to bond with the human. I wonder if he's gonna bond with Violet. You wanna know what happens? He bonded with Violet. There's this part in the like bonding process or whatever where all of the cadets from this academy present themselves to all of the dragons that are bonding. And there's this dragon, this small gold dragon that nobody expected to come to this year. And so at that point I was like, oh, maybe Violet will end up with the small golden one instead of the black one. She ended up with both. And so that's our surprising, shocking, inexplainable thing that happened to Violet. And those are the things that make me sound like I don't like the book when really I am enjoying it. I really like the dragons. I love dragons. I like that she has the 2 dragons. And so because she has 2 dragons, she has like these 2 voices in her head. And I like seeing the 2 different personalities of the 2 different dragons, because you have the big black strong one and he's kind of grumpy. Even though he's bonded with Violet, you can tell he's a little bit hesitant to trust her fully. And so I'm kind of looking forward to seeing that journey of their bond becoming stronger and him learning to trust her. You also have the smaller gold dragon that's bonded with her. There's this innocence to this small dragon that I think is really sweet. I said earlier that I was hoping that Violet would end up with some friends, and she has. Rhiannon, who she met at the first day when they had that like test challenge thing to get into the academy, that girl has remained her friend ever since day one. They are besties, they've got each other's backs, and I love that. So I'm liking it, and it's a really good escape. I like the fantasy-ness of it. I like the dragons. I like that it is a completely different world, and that has just been really nice to escape into, because the last few weeks have just been really all over the place in my life, and I feel like this has just done a really good job of like holding my focus and pulling it away from the stressful stuff that's been happening to me.
I finished reading Fourth Wing. Am I obsessed? No. Did I enjoy it? Yes, I did. It was a very good, fun read. I would say for me, I was hooked, but I wasn't instantly like addicted to it as some other people have been. The point where it like really picked up for me, and the point where like I had trouble putting it down, was around the 300-page mark. That was where it kind of shifted, and the story just became a little bit more interesting, a little bit more engaging to me. Once I got there, I finished the book pretty quick. I just thought I'd go through my notes, share with you a few things that I thought were funny, a few things I liked. Violet was talking to Dane and she said this line and I was just like, yes, you tell him, girl. She said, you keeping me safe is keeping me from growing. So normally I love a best friends turned lovers situation. And if there's a love triangle where the best friend is involved, I usually root for the best friend. This one, pretty soon after meeting Dane, I changed my mind about him. He's overprotective. I don't like that. He's getting in her way. So when she said this to him, I was like, you go, girl. Yeah. And then Xaden, I'm not a huge fan of the bad boy trope, but at the same time, there are a few moments where I was like, oh, he's just misunderstood. He's not really that bad. Oh my gosh. And so I don't know how I feel. And I like it sometimes and sometimes I don't. All right, there was a moment. One of the chapters, when they start the war games, there is like the little heading above the chapter. It said like, don't trust anybody, even your friends. And I saw that and I was like, oh no. Oh no. Is Rhiannon gonna betray Violet? In that moment, I legit had a panic attack. I was like, no, 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 no. Rhiannon's my girl. I can't have her betraying Violet. Like, no. Luckily, no, she doesn't. Those are just a few thoughts, a few things, experiences that I had while reading the book. I had a fun time, so I would definitely recommend this. All right, that is it. Those are all of the books that I've read for this video. This is me going out of my comfort zone, reading some really hyped up books. When something is hyped up a lot, I'm curious, but also very skeptical that it will actually be as good as people say it is. And I think that this video, we've had a mixed bag, you know? There was one book where I really didn't get the hype. It wasn't for me. Tomorrow, Tomorrow, and Tomorrow, loved it. I think that is everything that everybody says it is, and it is beautiful and totally worth the hype. Fourth Wing, is it a masterpiece? No, but is it fun? Yes. Yes, it is. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video and the roller coaster that it has been. Have any recommendations for me? Any books you would like to see me read in the rest of this series? Any genres you would like me to explore? Please comment down below. Let me know, because I would love to oblige. With all that said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening to me ramble about books, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!